أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين، حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا، سيدنا ومولانا أبا القاسم محمد عليه وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين، روح وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفدا، واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين منذ آدم إلى قيام يوم الدين. السلام عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بثنائك، عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعلها الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. قال تعالى في محكم التنزيل بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله، ولو آمن أهل الكتاب لكان خيرا لهم منهم المؤمنون وأكثرهم الفاسقون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Allah Azza wa Jal says in Surah Al-Imran verse 110, you are the best of nations raised up for the benefit of men, or you are the best of nations raised up from men. You enjoin good and you forbid the wrong and believe in Allah, and if the followers of the book had believed it, it would have been better for them. Of them some are believers and most of them are transgressors. Sadaqallahu al-Aliyyul Azim. In discussing the components of the government of Imam al-Zaman Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu al-Sharif, and discussing the characteristics of this government, we established that the main objective of this government is establishing justice through establishing of the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal. And we began to discuss the tools that the Imam alayhi salam will use, or that the Imam alayhi salam will apply in achieving this global, or more than global, this universal justice. Because by the testimony of our ahadith and the Holy Quran, the Imam's revolution is not limited to earth. The Imam's revolution will reform the earth and the skies and the heavens, and will touch on everything living and everything created. The Imam's revolution will encompass it, and the Imam alayhi salam will reform it. So whether they be on this earth, in this galaxy, in this solar system, in this universe, or in any other universe, if there is any other universe apart from this that exists, the Imam alayhi salam's revolution will reach. Whether they exist or not is a different discussion. But if they exist, the Imam's revolution will reach it. Amongst the most important tools the Imam alayhi salam uses to achieve this justice, and one can say this is the most essential tool used to establish the religion and used to establish justice, and it is the tool of the prophets of Allah Azza wa Jal, and it is the tool of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alih, and it is the weapons of the Imams alayhum as-salam, and it is one of the primary reasons that Al-Husayn ibn Ali alayhi salam rises up against Banu Umayyah. It is the Islamic duty of Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar, enjoining good and forbidding evil. And I said duty and obligation because more often than not, this is lost to us. Yeah, we hear about enjoining good and we hear about forbidding evil and that this is a good thing to do, but we do not treat it like it is an obligation. Open the Risala Amaliya of any of our Maraja and see who amongst them says that enjoining good and forbidding evil is an optional act. If one wants to, he can enjoin good and forbid evil if he wants to. None of them. Just as your salat is an obligation, just as fasting in the holy month of Ramadan is an obligation, just as Hajj is an obligation, enjoining good and forbidding evil is an obligation. And this is what the government of Imam al-Zaman alayhi salam is based on. In the verse we open up with, Allah Azza wa Jal is speaking and saying that you are the best of nations. And we know that the best of nations is the nation of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam. This is the best of nations. It is the final nation. It is the nation that applies fully all that is good and will abolish completely all that is evil. When are you the best of nations? Allah Azza wa Jal says, there's a condition. We are not like some from the Ahlul Kitab who have claimed that purely through tribal descent, because we are the children of prophets, we are the children of Dawood alayhi salam, that we are the best of nations. No, with Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah is very clear in the Holy Quran. Allah is not a relative of any of you. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Holy Quran, He is not a father of any of your men. Do not claim that simply being related to the Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alihi makes you amongst the best of nations. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very clear in this verse. The best of nations has two core components. تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. See, belief in Allah Azza wa Jal, which is center to our belief system. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse precedes it with enjoining good and forbidding evil. To tell us that your faith, your belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your belief in Tawheed, your claim to Tawheed will always be lacking if you are not amongst those who enjoin good and forbid evil. Imam al-Mahdi ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu al-sharif. Last night we spoke about the establishment of the judiciary system at the time of the Imam. And we spoke about the judiciary system in Islam. The primary objective of establishing this judiciary system, this judicial system, is to enjoin good and forbid evil. Upholding the religion, a direct consequence of upholding a religion, which we said is the main objective of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, a direct consequence of upholding the religion is enjoining good and forbidding evil. Rather, religion cannot be upheld unless one is to enjoin good and forbid evil. And treat it like a wajib, because it is in fact a wajib. Look what the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam say regarding this wajib. This is a narration attributed to Imam al-Rida alayhi salam, where he commands his companions, لَتَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْهُونَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ أَوْ لِيَسْتَعْمِلَنَّ عَلَيْكُمْ شَرَارَكُمْ فَيَدْعُوا خِيَارَكُمْ فَلَا يُسْتَجَابَ لَهُمْ. This is a very scary hadith. Imam al-Rida alayhi salam is saying, be sure to uphold enjoining good and forbidding evil. Otherwise, the worst and the wretched amongst you will become the superior amongst you. And the good and the righteous amongst you will be called upon or will call upon you and no one will answer them. In another narration, the Imam alayhi salam, I think it's a narration attributed to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, and all of them are one nur inshallah. He says, abandoning Amr bil Ma'roof wa Nahi anil Munkar will make the most wretched amongst you your masters, and the best amongst you disgraced in the society. Why? Because the wretched, in their wrongdoing, if they are not stopped, if they are not prevented, if no one stands in their face, with their audacity and their pride and their wretchedness, they will snowball and become so great in their wretchedness that people will see that this is what strength is. This is what strength looks like. Whereas the good and the pious will be viewed as weak. So then those who are wretched will become our masters. They'll become those who are respected and elevated in our communities. And we can see this today, unfortunately, in our communities. We see this today. The scum of the earth, the drug dealer, the one who poisons his own people, the one who poisons potential soldiers of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam to benefit his own pocket, the one who kills the children of this ummah, the one who benefits and makes good coin from the tears of the mothers of this ummah. This scum, unfortunately, in some communities, is seen as a community figure. We have a problem that needs to be solved. We don't go to the pious brother, we don't go to the alim, we don't go to the sheikh, we don't go to the masjid. We go to Fulan, the drug dealer. How often do we see this? Let's go get this scumbag to come and negotiate something. A business disagreement, a family disagreement. Pious brothers and sisters, go to these people. We break our necks looking at them when they walk in the street. Rushing across highways just to shake their hands so I can be seen with this scum. And we fear them and we respect them. And we invite them to our dinners and to our homes and to our gatherings. And unfortunately, when and if they come to our masajid, we give them the front row. And they stand greeting people at the masjid. And people rush, taqabbal Allah, knowing that this vermin has profited and the flesh on his back is a result of the tears of the mothers of this ummah and the health of the youth of this ummah. This vermin we respect. And you do not uphold enjoining good and forbidding evil. Then the Prophet was asked, will this happen, O Messenger of Allah? فَقَالَ نَعَمْ وَشَرْ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. And worse than this will happen. كَيْفَ بِكُمْ إِذَا أَمَرْتُمْ بِالْمُنْكَرْ وَنَهَيْتُمْ عَنِ الْمَعْرُوفِ. How will your affairs be if you are to enjoin evil and forbid that which is good? And the companions, they ask, will this happen, Ya Rasulullah? He says, yes. Worse than this. نعم وشر من ذلك. كيف بكم إذا رأيتم المعروف منكرا والمنكر معروف. How would you be? How would your affairs be? How would your state be if you saw that which is evil good and that which is good as evil? This is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi speaking about the future. This wasn't the case, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, in general, at the time of the Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. And we're seeing from this narration, the companions, those around the Holy Messenger, are astonished. Can this be? Can we reach a time where good becomes bad and bad becomes good? They say, Sadaqta ya Rasulullah. Do we not see it today? Do we not see it today? We have become so entrapped in this capitalist life, this liberal capitalist life, which has forced us to live a life of individualism, where everybody is living on their own. Even though we live in cities, we live in towns, we live in communities, we are all truly living on our own. Each and every person has been forced in this system for himself and only himself. And it is the objective of this system to have you this way. This is what capitalism is. The advancement of the individual. That you advance and you advance and you advance socially and economically at the expense of everyone and everything else. It doesn't matter. As long as you make it, it's good. It's okay. As long as you make it. And you hear this a lot in our attitudes. Each to their own. No, I got nothing to do with that, brother. Please, each to their own. Our religion has put such an emphasis on the concept of jama'ah and the concept of ummah and the concepts of community. It is incorporated in our jurisprudence, it is incorporated in our laws, it is incorporated in our mustahabbat, it is incorporated in our makruh, in our wajib, in our haram, in our prayers, in our fasting, in our eating, even in our eating. We have several narrations which indicate to us that the best of meals is a meal which is shared. It's the best of meals. The narrations from Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam tell us that it is even on an individual level, it is makruh to sleep alone in a house by yourself. This is something not liked by Allah Azza wa Jalla. That your prayers, your daily prayers, the rewards for them cannot be counted if the jama'ah exceeds a particular number. That our dua be done in jama'ah. That we remain in contact with one another. The importance of the neighbor, the importance of society, the importance of community, the importance of brotherhood. There is no each to their own in Islam. Yeah, each to your own in your private affairs. Okay? But when it comes to your social affairs, when it comes to the way you behave, when it comes to your day-to-day affairs, there's no each to your own. If Allah Azza wa Jal had intended that you and I mind our own business, you see how they have made enjoining good and forbidding evil seem like a vice? And in a narration from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, he says, wretched is the ummah which views enjoining good and forbidding evil as a vice. Wretched is this ummah. Because today they told you, no, brother, mind your own business. You're so nosy. Correct? And careful, Islam is not demanding from you that you spy وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ on people or pry into their private and personal affairs. It's not what Islam is talking about. Islam is telling you that when you see something which is not right, take a stance. Put an end to it. If you cannot put an end to it, as the ahadith tell us, if you cannot put an end to it with your hands, then put an end to it by speaking out against it. If you cannot speak out against it, then dislike it. At the very least, dislike it in your heart. At the very least. And the hadith says, and this is the weakest of faith. This is the weakest of faith. And many times the Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa and the Imams alayhi salam equate abandoning, enjoining good and forbidding evil with weakness. In a narration by the Holy Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa he says, Allah Azza wa Jal despises the weak believer with no religion. They say, Ya Rasulullah, can this be? Can there be such a believer with no religion? La deena lah? He says, yes. They say, how, Ya Rasulullah? He says, he does not forbid evil. The believer that does not forbid evil, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, what's he saying? He says, A, this is a weak believer, and B, he is a believer with no religion, la deena lah. Brothers and sisters, the government, the state of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam is dawlat al-quwwa. It is the nation of strength. It is the nation of the strong. It is the nation of the brave. There is no room in this government. There is no room in this state for those who are weak, for the coward. The weak and the coward, and I'm not talking about somebody who is physically weak. I'm not talking about somebody who is physically incapable. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those who are capable, but have weak hearts. There is no room in the government of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam for those with weak hearts. Strength is the order of the day in the government of Imam al-Zaman alayhi salam. The weakness of the hearts only comes when we have lack of trust in Allah Azza wa Jalla. When I do not trust the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is it that prevents us from enjoining good and forbidding evil? Mainly, two things. First thing, usually, more often than not, is I'm afraid people will dislike me. Fear of people. Fear of people is the first thing. And Allah Azza wa Jal has repeatedly told you in the Holy Quran, because remember the state of Imam al-Zaman is the state of the Quran. The Quran is supposed to be embodied and embedded in your hearts. The promise of Allah Azza wa Jal is supposed to be sitting so firmly in your heart does not doubt it an atom's weight. So when Allah Azza wa Jal demands from you and commands from you, fear me and do not fear them. And this is something I don't take very lightly. This is something I carry with me as a mission. I see wrong, I'll say, brother, this is wrong. Sister, this is wrong. Of course, politely, with akhlaq. Not saying carry a whip and walk in the streets and start lashing people, wal-'iyadhu billah. It's not what we're talking about. Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam has a different approach, inshallah. The Imam has different powers and he's able to do different things. But you and I, does not require of us. What's required is at the very least advise. At the very least, do not encourage the wretched in the community. Do not encourage debauchery. Do not encourage zina. Do not encourage alcoholism. Do not encourage the drug dealer. Do not encourage immodesty. At the very least, don't encourage these things. There is a very sad trend that I see all the time. And unfortunately, social media has many benefits, but it also has many, many, many evils. Amongst the evils of social media is the audacity that some of us have to spread our filth and disbelief. One sickening trend that we see constantly, and this is just an example. There is a poor sister. She has had some sort of an issue. She's having issues in her life, personal issues, social issues, maybe mental issues. She's having a test of faith. This poor sister has reached the stage where she is so damaged, her conviction, her belief is so damaged, she has removed her hijab, unfortunately. This sister is a victim of certain consequences and circumstances. So she's gone and she's done this. Fine. Not really fine, but for the sake of it, we're going to say fine. Sister, you've made this choice. She's gone a step further. She needs to announce this to the world. Immediately, take down all the pictures with hijab and let's put up pictures with no hijab. You know, back in the days, before social media and these smartphones, when you used to go through a family album, I remember you would be going through it with my mother and then you get to a picture and my mother would cover it. So you can't look at this because there's a particular sister, a relative or a friend or so-and-so that never used to wear hijab and now wears hijab. So my mother would cover it and then remove that picture and continue. Today is the opposite. Today is the opposite. Today you'll be going through, oh, mashallah, hijab, and then all of a sudden, boom, no hijab, no clothes, nothing. For some reason, they think they need to go to the complete extreme. This is not the discussion. What I want to get at is once this sister has now posted up these pictures with no hijab, what happens? The fans, they all jump on. The modest, the immodest, the righteous, the not so righteous, everyone, mashallah, beautiful, mashallah, beautiful, subhanallah, beautiful. What are we doing? And you see the sisters that are commenting, mainly the sisters that comment, they're still in hijab, in full hijab. What are you encouraging here? Do we not think before we act? Do we think Allah Azza wa Jal is not online? We start to encourage her. Wow, sister. And then some brothers get on there, mashallah. Get into this, we're going to get a bit carried away. The lack of ghira that some of us have. The jealousy that we are supposed to have over our sisters, over our mothers. We have abandoned enjoining good and forbidding evil to an extent. Unfortunately, there are some of us that no longer have this ghira, this protective jealousy over their mothers, their sisters, their wives, let alone the wider ummah. No jealousy whatsoever. Has no problem at all with the way his wife dresses or the way his sister dresses. I guarantee you I will leave this place tonight and I will get an influx of messages. What's it to you? What's it to me? Let me explain to you. What's it to you the way I dress? Sister, what's it to me the way you dress? You are free to behave and act however you want in the comfort of your own home. Dress or do not dress, this is your business. Makeup or no makeup, this is your business in the comfort of your home. The moment you step outside, you are everybody's business, whether you like it or not. You don't want to be everyone's business? Go live in a cave by yourself. Go live in a cave by yourself. The moment you have gotten out of your home and everybody can see you, you are everybody's business, sister. What you wear, the way you smell, the makeup you have put on, the way you walk, the way you talk, is everyone's business. You've put yourself out there. No one told you to come like this. It's for my comfort. Be comfortable at home. And don't tell me it's for your comfort. You see these ridiculously high shoes. No one's comfortable in them. No one. You look like a clown, A. Yeah. You walk like you have some disease in your joints, B. The noise you make like a horse with horseshoes, C. Do not tell me it's comfortable. The second you get home, not even at home, the second you got on the train after work, you take them off. And the second you come home, you can't wait to get into the baggy pajamas. Don't tell me it's for comfort. Kid yourselves. You can't kid Allah Azza wa Jal. You can't kid us. Why are you everyone's problem? Because now everyone has to look at you, sister. But Allah commanded you to lower it. He did. He commanded me to lower my gaze. Allah Azza wa Jal commanded me to lower my gaze. Thank you very much. But Allah Azza wa Jal also did not command me to walk into poles and get hit by a car because the whole damn day my head needs to be like this. You can't look up. Brothers, you feel me? You know it. You can't look anywhere. But what's it to you if because sister, as a male, and it's okay, I'm pretty sure by now, those under the age of 15 or 16 are asleep, inshallah. Because I am a male, brother, sister, because males are wired unless they have a problem with their sexual orientation, because males are inclined towards beauty, and when you have beautified yourself, a male is inclined to look at you. This is how human beings are wired. This is how we're wired. This is physiology, this is biology, this is psychology, this is nature. So when you have left your house and gone out into public, dressed the way you were dressed, dressed to impress, brothers are going to be impressed. And when they're impressed, their imagination is triggered. And when their imagination is triggered, their emotions are triggered. And when the emotions are triggered, hormones are triggered. And now this brother's got a whole world of problems going on in his head, thanks to you. And then you tell me, what's it to you? No. You have thrown a grenade of problems into society, sister. And no one wants to address this because we are embarrassed, correct? Brother, the same with you. I remember a few years ago, we're in Karbala in Ziyara with a group of brothers and sisters. And the elevator had opened and I'm walking out of the elevator going to my room and I see one brother, mashallah, strolling in the corridor, topless with shorts. Brother, what are you doing? He says, oh, nothing, I'm just going to my room. I said, why are you walking around the corridors? Not dressed at all. He says, what? I'm wearing shorts. See, you're wearing shorts, brother. There's sisters around here. MashaAllah, you with your physique and your back and your six-pack and I don't know what. And you think it's okay to would you be okay with your wife looking at someone like this? It is not okay. It is never okay for you, brother, to walk around like that. It is never okay for you, brother, to put up pictures of you and you say, the Sheikh's talking like this because he's got no abs. Anyway, if you have them sitting there topless and I don't know what on social media with your tattoos showing and come on, man. What are you looking for? Some sort of validation? And no one wants to speak about it because what's it to you? If we were to carry this philosophy of what's it to you and individualism and each to their own, Allah Azza wa Jal would not have sent any messenger. or any prophet. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam would not have gone to Kufa. He would have just sat in Medina. Everyone would have came to him and said, oh, Yazid is doing this. He would say, what's it to me? What's it to me? Just sit at home, do your own thing. Don't worry about Yazid and what he's doing in the army of Yazid. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Everyone just stick to themselves. It's fine. Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam, there'll be no need for him to come. No need for the government of the Imam alayhi salam. No need for 124,000 prophets, the majority of them killed, their children killed, their followers slaughtered, prophets that have been beheaded. No need for any of them, because each to their own. Don't worry about it. Allah Azza wa Jalla would have just sent one book, say, here, look, this book, you want to abide by it, do it at home by yourself. If not, don't worry about it. Each to their own. And this Amr bil Ma'roof and Nahy anil Munkar, it is an obligation on every level of our existence. In my home, it is my duty to enjoin good and forbid evil. I see my wife, my son, my daughter doing something wrong, my sibling, my mother, my father, anybody. It is my duty to enjoin good and forbid evil. In society, it is my duty. You know, in society, we have a narration, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that says, he says, Tariq salah, the one who has abandoned prayers, the Muslim, he doesn't want to pray anymore. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa says, do not smile at him. Do not smile at this person. Let them feel that society does not accept you. Brother, what you're doing is something very wrong. Us, we smile at the drug dealer, we smile at the murderer, we smile at the gangster. We do more than smile. We hug him, we kiss him, we invite him. He comes into our businesses. We give him free things. We want to be seen with him. We encourage him. We make him a local hero. Rasulullah told you, Tariq as-salah. Why? Because we don't have confidence in this promise of Allah Azza wa Jal. This do not fear them, fear me. We do not have confidence in this promise. And this is the embodiment of Karbala, this promise. Tonight is the night of Al-Qasim alayhi salam. Look at the belief that Al-Qasim alayhi salam has in this promise. When he is confronted with the truth, when his uncle Hussein alayhi salam has told this young man that you will be shredded by the swords of the enemy. And today, you will receive death. Young man, our narrations say 10, 11 years old, 12. Look at the response of Al-Qasim alayhi salam. When his uncle asks him, how do you view death? He says, Ma'ak ya am, ahla min al-asal. With you, O uncle. Not because he is his uncle, but because Al-Hussein alayhi salam is Hujjatullah. Because Al-Hussein alayhi salam is the Imam. Al-Imam al-Ma'soom, the infallible Imam. Because Al-Hussein alayhi salam is Hablullah, the rope of Allah Azza wa Jal. Al-Qasim has a firm belief in Allah's command and promise. When Allah says to him, do not fear them, fear me. Al-Qasim says to him, death with you, O uncle, is sweeter than honey. Sweeter than honey. And no one's asking you to risk yourself. We fear awkward encounters. This is what we fear. What if it was demanded of us, and it is demanded of us, to enjoin good and forbid evil on a global scale? This is the end game of Imam al-Zaman alayhi salam. This is the duty of a Muslim. The small evil and the great evil. The evils of the disbelievers, the evils of tyranny, the evils of the oppressors, of the occupiers, of the colonialists. It is our duty as Muslims to stand up to this evil. If we fear awkward confrontations for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, we're not willing to have an awkward conversation with somebody. What are we going to do when it is time to put everything on the line? not just an awkward conversation. Because this ummah, unfortunately, has abandoned enjoining good and forbidding evil, the promise of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi and the promise of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam has now embodied. We now see it. We see that the wretched have become our masters, globally and locally. Globally, the masters of the world today, or who claim to be the masters of the world today, are the tyrannical powers. The powers of evil and Taghut, the great Satan. What a fantastic, fantastic description Imam al-Khomeini, Ajjalallah, Hafidhahullah, Rahimahullah, gave us when he referred to the imperialist states, referred to them as the great Satan. Because we abandoned the promise of Allah Azza wa Jal and abandoned the duty of Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi al Munkar, look at what they do to us today. Look at the pain and the suffering the Muslims are suffering from today. Look at the torment and the torture because we abandoned when Allah Azza wa Jal told us in the Holy Quran, do not take them as allies. And we took them as our allies. Our brothers and sisters today in Afghanistan, look at the hell and the nightmare they are living in today. For 20 years, these devils ravaged, raped, and pillaged Afghanistan. Slaughtered the Muslims there in the tens of thousands, if not millions. In the name of the war on terror. And in a second, after destroying the infrastructure of this nation and sowing discord and sowing dissent and creating fitna, they picked themselves up after 20 years and left the poor Afghani people to fend for themselves against the most wretched of Allah's creation. Packed up and left. Told them, you're on your own. This is the price we pay for taking them as our allies after Allah commanded us not to. In Iraq, same thing. Same thing after ripping at the very fabric of the Iraqi society, bringing it to the ground, to the core, killing over 1 million Iraqis in an unforeseen and unpredicted moment, quickly picked themselves up and left the nation in tatters and in chaos. Our brothers and sisters in Lebanon today, because there are those who have weak hearts, because there are those who are cowards by description of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi and the Quran, because there are those who broke the oath of Allah Azza wa Jal when He said to them, do not take them as allies, and he who takes them as an ally is from them. You become from them. Our brothers and sisters have been plunged into darkness in the 21st century. No electricity, no clean water, no petrol, anarchy, chaos. Because this administration has decided that if you do not succumb to me, we will starve you to death. And there were those amongst us who assisted them and continue to have hope in them. And Allah Azza wa Jal has blessed us that we live in an era that there are groups and pockets of brothers and sisters all over the world who still hold on to the oath of Allah Azza wa Jal. and enjoin good and forbid evil and refuse to take the Taghut as their allies and refuse to succumb to their will, and say to them the same as Al-Abbas alayhi salam said on the day of Ashura, when Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas and his brothers were promised security. We know the story. Shimr comes and he asks for Al-Abbas and his brothers alayhum salam and says to them, we only want Hussein. We will deliver you because there is blood relations. We promise you security and safety. Al-Abbas alayhi salam, what's he say? You promise me security. And Al-Hussein alayhi salam, no security? La'anaka Allah wa la'ana amanak. May Allah curse you and curse your security. And it is required from the believers today that when they are faced with either abandon your religion, abandon the tenets of Islam, abandon the morals of Islam, abandon Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi an al Munkar, abandon hijab, abandon Quran, and you will live in security and safety. It is commanded from you with a firm heart and a face of steel to stand up brave like a lion and say to this Taghut, whether this Taghut is local, domestic in your family or on a global scale, la'anak Allah wa la'ana amanak. May Allah curse you and curse your safety. My religion is first. My deen is first. Fear. There is no room for fear in the government of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam. If you fear enjoining good and forbidding evil, do not wait in line seeking citizenship in this divine government. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم والعن عدوهم. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتذل بها النفاق وأهله وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة بمحمد وعترته الطاهرة صلواتك عليه وعليهم أجمعين وعجل فرجهم ولا نادوا.